Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Andrea Scheidley. I'm the AVP of DI Sales here at Illinois Mutual. We appreciate you joining us to hear more about how to grow your business with starting profession programs. I am thrilled to have Dale Forsyth, a longtime partner of ours, over 20 years working with Illinois Mutual, who's going to tell us about his success. And I also have Jim Cuny. He's our Western Region DI Sales Manager. I am sharing my screen right now. Hopefully you can see that. That is, Jim's going to go over that. It's shows you the contact sheet for your team here at Illinois Mutual. So Jim, I'll turn it over to you if you want to say a few words.
Yep, perfect. Thank you everyone for joining, and Dale, thank you for joining us. I'm looking forward to some great ideas. You know, I think that this platform is really one that you can get a lot out of, is learning from fellow advisors and how you can effectively use strategies to market disability. As Andrea said, I'm Jim Cuny. I'm the West Region Sales Manager. You can see I have a rather sizable territory on this map right here. It's a lot, and I'm out in the middle of it right now in Salt Lake City, sitting in a hotel room. So one of the things that I want you guys to kind of keep in mind today is that any of the strategies that you hear about, I want you to feel free to reach out to Jeff or Dave or myself to schedule some one-on-one time to talk about your specific practice and maybe some niche occupations that might make sense for you to market, because I think this could be a nice campaign for everybody for the second half of 2023. And really that's where we've been seeing our best success from a lot of our advisors have been going down specific niche occupations. And it's been all over the board in terms of the types of occupations people are marketing to, but that's really where we're seeing the best success. So write down some notes today, and if you're interested in getting together, whether it's virtual or in person, please contact one of the three of us.
Thanks so much, Jim. And Dale, I have to echo what Jim said as far as thank you so much for taking the time to be on this call today and tell us about your success. So I'll let you tell a little bit about you and your practice if you don't mind sharing that.
Sure, yeah. Thank you and happy to be here. Yeah, I have pretty wide array of experience in the business. I actually started out as an advisor, then I became a disability underwriter for about 12 years. And then I got into my role now, which is I'm more of a, kind of like Jim's role, more of a disability specialist. So I work with brokers and agents in the Minnesota, Wisconsin, North Dakota, South Dakota area. And I still do personal production too. And I've worked with Illinois Mutual, like Andrea said, for many, many years. It's been a great company to work with, very much a niche, product and niche market, which, is we all have clients that fit the Illinois Mutual profile for sure. So, like I said, thanks for having me and happy to be here.
Great, thank you so much, Dale.
Yeah.
Before I jump into our questions and discussion, I do want to make sure I share with everyone the details of Illinois Mutual's new starting profession program. There is, with the GoToWebinar taskbar, there should be an option for handouts. And I've attached 3 handouts, but the first one I want you to focus on is the new starting profession program. I'm going to try to share my screen here. Give me 1 second. Okay, so I think this should, sorry, move that down. So this should at least show you the PDF of the handout that's attached. For this new starting profession program, we are able to offer coverage to students who are nearing the completion of their apprenticeships, licensing, or accredited certification programs, and it's within their last 6 months of completing this program. So there's certain benefit limits and plan designs that you can offer based on what type of occupation they are and what industry they're in. But what I love about this flyer is it gives you some occupation examples of those that are eligible for coverage to help you get some ideas of where to get started. So in that group A, you'll see accountants, architects, attorneys, occupational therapists, pharmacist, physician, assistant or physical therapist. Group B, which Dale I think will talk a lot about today, is dental hygienist, also carpenter, chef, electrician. So really the bread and butter of Illinois Mutual's business. And then that group C, still opening up opportunities with estheticians, barbers, chiropractors, pharmacy techs, welders. So with this new program, you can see there's a wide variety of occupations listed here. And there's so much potential for you to take advantage of this new program and grow your business and find new clients to talk to about disability income and help show them the importance of income protection. So I hope that you are just as excited as we are with this new program. And we're going to talk with Dale today about how he's had success in with programs like this over the years. So with that said, Dale, I'll go ahead and open it up with just, if you could tell us a little bit about how you got started
Sure.
in the market with programs like this for dentists and dental hygienists.
Yep, absolutely. Just to start with, like Andrea said, I'll be talking some about dental hygienists. I kind of have a special place in my heart for dental hygienists. My sister-in-law was a dental hygienist and moved to a city up in central Minnesota right after that she had twins. My brother was a teacher. They moved from southern Minnesota to central Minnesota. She was in a head-on car accident only about 6 months after they got there. Kind of shattered the whole left side of her body, her pelvis, and so forth. She was totally out of work for a year, and then was able to go back to work as a dental hygienist, but could never go back full time. So she was always on a partial disability claim. So, dental hygienists, it's a tough job. Like a dentist, it's very hand intensive, can be hard on the neck, on the joints, that sort of thing. And it's just a story of, use it if you want to, of how everybody needs disability insurance. But where I got started is at the University of Minnesota. I had a colleague that had a connection. It's all about having connections. I'll talk a little bit about, how to maybe find connections, but the more connections you can have to the actual dental school and the student affair office, the better. And he had a connection in there. We went in there, talked to him about, dentists and, the occupational risks that they have. And we ended up putting an actual group disability insurance plan on the dentist, and, got a plan going for the dentist students at the University of Minnesota. And lo and behold, dental hygienists were also part of the dental school. So we have, a direct connection into the dental hygiene program at the University of Minnesota also. So, and, we're able to offer discounts and first year special limits, just like Andrea and this whole meeting is about. It gives us an opportunity to talk to them about it. And there's different things that we do from a marketing perspective to be able to gain access to the students. So, and once you start, it's, as long as you obviously maintain a good reputation, do a good job with the students and so forth, it can really build a career over time. So, absolutely. Yeah.
And that was a great point, Dale, as far as having that personal story and the example. Obviously, it helps if it's in the same occupation. And, I wish you didn't have that personal story and experience, for your sister-in-law. But,
right.
But that is one thing that we have learned and heard over the last few months with other best practices events that we've done is either that's how an agent got into the business because of a personal experience or someone they knew from a disability perspective, or that's a huge part of how they open the door to the conversation. So for those of you on the call today, keep that in mind, that if you have a personal story or if you know someone that suffered a disability, it's a great way to make a connection. And even just asking a client, have you or do you know someone that has suffered from a disability? Or been off of work for any period of time? What did that do to them financially? So that's just something to think about. And it's kind of I got a rabbit hole there, but I wanted to make sure just to point that out there. But
yeah, absolutely.
So I know you mentioned, Dale, that you had to get the connection, and as many connections that you can get at the school is more helpful. Any tips on who to look for at a school, or or how to find the information, or where to get started, or even just finding schools in your area. You know, obviously this one kind of opened up for you, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You can just, I mean, Google is a great thing. Just do some research. You know, wherever at in the country, there's probably a dental school near you, and you know, it likely has a hygiene program too, and maybe, you know, a dental assistant program. So just Google, you know, dental schools near me, dental hygiene programs near me, that sort of thing. And when you go in there, you can usually, there'll be a tab to look at faculty or staff. And you know, so you can get the names of the staff that work within the student affairs office. And then from there, you know, you might take a name. If you use LinkedIn, you know, you could put that name in LinkedIn, see if you have any connections through LinkedIn with somebody in the dental school. And we all have dentists too. So, and dental hygienists tend to stay pretty close to where they completed school. I think every dental hygienist I've ever had went to the University of Minnesota. So, you know, that's another way to try to gain a connection into a program, is just talk to your dental hygienist and see if they're, you know, a graduate from the local program that's near you. See if they would, you know, if they know anybody that's there, and kind of give them an idea of what you're thinking about doing, and, you know, see if they can give you a referral. And if nothing else, you know, everybody, it seems like a lot of people want to work with dentists in this business, which is good, but it can also make it a lot more challenging to try to get into a dental program. What I found though is very few people want to work with dental hygienists, which I don't understand. I mean, they're great people to work with. They're young, they make good money, you know, and from there you can get referrals to, you know, the entire staff at the dental office that they work in. You know, most of them are young, married with kids that, you know, have spouses. They need planning, they need life insurance. The other, you know, dental hygienists and assistants need disability insurance. And I don't know if you still have that voluntary short-term disability product.
We do.
But
yeah.
You know, that's great. It's perfect for a dental office, you know, because everybody wants paternity covered. So there's just a lot of different avenues and directions that you can get into. And, you know, one thing that obviously I'm kind of focusing on dental hygienists, but, you know, Andrea talked about a lot of different occupations that are part of this, this new program. And I would just encourage you to think about, who are you comfortable working with? You know, because again, you're talking about your entire career here. You want to work with people that you enjoy working with. So, I mean, there's lots of different occupations of people that can be a lot more challenging and and aren't as much fun to work with as others. So, I mean, if you like working with electricians, you know, there's no better place to start than when they're just getting out of school, you know, and then you kind of build that relationship, and it's amazing once you get, you know, 10, 20 of these relationships, how things can just kind of expand because of referrals from there. Now you get to know, you know, the owners of the company that they work for, you get to know other coworkers and so forth. And the other thing is, it's a continual source of prospects, because you got people graduating from these programs every single year. And it just doesn't run out. And if you can get in there and you can be that person, I mean, it can set you up for a long time.
That's such a great, there were so many things that you said that I was like, you know, were pinballs for me of wanting to, you know, talk about. But that is the one thing where I feel like a lot of advisors or agents that we talk to never know where to start with disability income. Well, if your current prospect, but you know, your book of business, right? Your current book of business, or this opens up a huge opportunity for you, not just for disability income. There's so much opportunity for disability income, but the other products that you do sell. And I'm glad that you brought up the other occupations that are eligible for this program. There is, and you said our friend Google. If you just Google the top trade schools in your area, or trade schools near me, it quickly pops up I did this after you mentioned Google, and there's 3 in Peoria area that are more like Midwest Technical Institute that could give you opportunities there. So that's a great point, Dale, as far as how to find the schools near you if you aren't familiar with them, and you could choose any one of those occupations to focus on.
Right. And in the state of Minnesota, I'm sure every state's the same. They have to get licensed, and the state of Minnesota has a website where you can actually go and see who is issued, a new license as an electrician, or all these different occupations. So you can actually see who is recently licensed in the different occupations also. And then, the other thing that we've done, we focus a lot on just financial education. That's the caveat that kind of allows us, to potentially, not everybody's open to it because some of these schools just don't want to endorse anybody or anything. But, what we tell people, and I throw the elephant out in the room, I just say, we're not here just to sell something. We want to educate your students and your people on how to manage their money. And because most people know nothing about money, they're going to have student loans, they're going to get out, they're not going to know, they're going to, we always call it pent up spending. They've been eating pizza and ramen for 4 years. I could go buy a car, I want to buy, get a house, have a family and all that stuff, and they have no idea how to manage their money. So, just a really basic, money 101 type of presentation that you can do at a lunch and learn, or, an evening, bring in pizza or Chinese food or something. And, the key is getting the access to be able to do that and being allowed to do that potentially, because the more you can get the involvement of the school, the better. And what we did was to say, hey, again, we don't want to sell people stuff. If they're interested, great. If not, that's fine. But encourage them to come and watch the presentation so that they can, become comfortable with what is being presented to the students. And again, you can approach some of these other types of occupations because, you don't have 20 other advisors knocking the door down usually to do it. So, like the person that runs the hygienist program, they kind of appreciate the fact that we care, So, comment, well, everybody wants to talk to the dentist, yep, we get that, we understand. So, and again, just encourage them to come, maybe even show them if you have a PowerPoint or whatever presentation, but just, you got to make sure when you do it to make it so it's not salesy. So,
Sure.
Otherwise they're going to go, so it's just got to be about education and awareness, and just leave the opportunity for them, open to contact you afterwards.
Good. And so that was going to be my question as far as what your process looks like of, opening up the need, showing them the need, spreading the awareness, and then timeline of them following up with you.
Right. We usually will do like a survey form for them to fill out. And at the end of that is, if you're interested in learning more, please contact me. And then, gives them a spot to write down their name, phone number, and email address. And we, disability is obviously a big part of the presentation. It's not the only one though. So it's about, different types of life insurance. It's about, what to look for with car insurance, homeowners insurance, different things like that. So it's more balanced. What is your, what might you have as a 401k option from your employer, that type of thing. So just keeping it very simple. But, we talk about, building that foundation for income protection planning. And a lot of these occupations, they're not going to have group insurance at work. Most hygienists don't, they have nothing. So, do it while you're young and healthy. It's inexpensive. You get $2,000 guaranteed, regardless of what your income is going to be. Put a future increase benefit on there. You can get, Illinois Mutual has a great contract for hygienists, just as an example. Build that foundation to protect that income while you're young. And I always talk to people about, the big number. If you work 30, 35 years and you're making 60 grand a year now and you have a 3% increase, you know, you're going to be in the 7 figures. And that's what we're talking about here. Protecting that big nugget, that big number that, you know, you're going to make, and that's going to be your entire financial future. Doesn't it make sense to protect that? So
Absolutely. And that's a great point. It's because majority of these clients will be younger, you know, so hopefully healthier, and that makes can simplify the underwriting process or experience. You know, making that you know, benefit limits that are within non-medical limits, so typically won't have to do exams or submit financials or anything like that, you know, so it does help simplify the overall experience and the process there, which is great. And you get them as a client today, and then, like you said, with the future increase options or guaranteed insurability option, keep building in the future as their income and their needs increase. They grow their family, you know, and so on. So,
well, I heard a number, I don't know if it was from NAIFA or whatever, that once you get a client, they'll buy 7 times from you throughout, you know, your career. And that's just them. That doesn't include their spouse or their kids or other referrals, that sort of thing. So.
Absolutely. I think that was a recent LIMRA number, because I did come across that recently too. So are there, so one of the things I was going to ask was about when you start the illustration, you know, as far as plan design, do you even talk about plan design with them in the first meeting, or is it more concept and then next phases?
It's more concept. I focus more on concept than I do product features, because they don't really understand it. I mean, at some point I will tell them, you know, here's how we're covering you in your occupation. We want to make sure we cover you with partial benefits. And that's where I use my sister's example a lot, because she was on a partial claim for 19 years, you know, totally disabled for one. And then talk about things like COLA, you know, how that can, if you're young especially, I'm a pretty big believer in COLA, because that can just add a lot of potential value to the overall benefit. And then the future increase option, because I mean, you know, dental hygienists as an example, they might start around 60, but you know, they're going to be making, you know, over 100 within, you know, a number of years. So we want to have that guaranteed increased benefit, because I mean, I believe in just hopefully taking somebody through underwriting one time, because
stuff
happens. I mean, you know, back start to hurt, you know, neck start to hurt, that sort of thing. We want to lock in that insurability as much as we can at a young age too. Definitely. So, but I do focus, you know, again, primarily on the concept. And again, especially knowing that they're probably not going to have any group insurance. You know, again, I always talk about that big number. I relate that big number to the monthly premium. So, you know, I don't want to say we're going to insure you for $2,000 a month and it's going to cost you $1,000. You know, there's just no difference between those two numbers. You know, my idea is we're going to insure you for over $2 million throughout the course of your career for, you know, $70 a month type thing. So it's a big number and a small number. And, you know, and just, I mean, there's different examples you can use about, you know, you're going to insure your car and your home and that sort of thing. Why wouldn't you insure, you know, the one thing, your income, which is again your financial foundation, that's going to make all those other things possible? And then ask open-ended questions, you know, too. You know, what would you do if you were my sister-in-law and you had no disability insurance? How do you think that would affect your family? You know, Carrie had it, you know, fortunately my brother sold her a DI policy and they could keep the house. They didn't have to move the kids. My brother didn't have to, you know, do other things, whatever. I mean, the life went on. It wasn't seamless, but they survived it. Otherwise, they wouldn't have. So, and she was, I mean, what, 32? So it's not always people in their 50s and 60s that get disabled.
Yeah. I had a good friend who was 28 when he became disabled and luckily was only on total disability for 2 years, but he is still affected by it, you know, every day. Well,
and if they don't get the concept, if they don't think they have a problem, they're not going to do anything to fix it. You have to show them and get them to verbally agree to you that there's a problem. if they can't work because of a sickness or an injury, that's a problem. And the solution is simple. We just get a disability policy to make sure we replace that income if you can't work. So there's some work that has to be done up front. And again, that's nothing to do with policy features or anything like that. We got to get them to agree that there's a problem in my financial life, potentially, if something happens to me.
I love that part of the financial education that you do at the beginning, because I know when I was graduating college, which was forever ago now, but that would have been helpful, right? Because you're coming out of school, you have all these student loans, you may or may not know what you're going to do for a job yet, what your income's going to be, but to at least be thinking about some of these things and have a contact for how you get started with that would have been so helpful. And and even if I feel like disability income, there's always that 6-month window where you might make the connection today and have the discussion, and then you don't hear anything back and you think, all right, that was a waste of my time, but 6 months later, or within 6 months, here that person comes back around and they heard you. Right. It just took them a little bit of time to come through. So
something happened, or somebody talked to them, or and again, it can be a little challenging. Young people don't think anything is ever going to happen to them. Well, even most people don't think anything is ever going to happen to them. So but that's not reality. There's nothing saying that you are going to get sick, that you're not going to be in some sort of an accident, that you're not going to develop carpal tunnel syndrome or arthritis or anything like that. So it happens to anybody, and it just makes sense to protect yourself against that. And I use an example of a big mistake or a little mistake. A big mistake is not ensuring your income and your financial future and having something happen to you. A little mistake is ensuring your financial future and having nothing happen to you, because the premium is not going to, it's not going to bankrupt anybody.
Right. That's great.
A long-term disability will.
Yes, you could lose everything that you've built,
I tend not to use stats. I mean, we all know 1 in 4 people under 20 are going to be disabled sometime during their career. There's all kinds of stats out there, but I just, again, try to get people to internalize and think about their own situation as much as possible.
Yeah. That's a great point. And I think one of the things I was just thinking of with doing more financial education. So for those of you that are on the call today, regardless of what your primary product line is, maybe it's disability income, maybe it's life insurance or P&C. I think by taking that approach of the financial education, if you can get into these programs and be able to talk to these students about the full financial picture, adding disability income in the life insurance conversation, the home and auto conversation, letting them know that you offer all these services. It might not be disability income that they contact you about. Maybe it's, something else. But once you get that first policy with them or make that relationship, build that relationship with them, like Dale said, then there's 7 more opportunities for them to buy from you in the future. And then you can continue that conversation and keep that up with them. So it doesn't have to be just disability. Obviously, this program for disability income is your lead in, but if you're taking it from a holistic financial planning perspective, you could still grow your business and the core products that you're focusing on with this new program.
Right.
Any other tips, Dale, that you have as far as how to be successful with this, or opening up the door to conversations, or anything else that you'd like to share?
Well, again, try to see if you can find a connection somehow to a school or to the school in your area. Again, maybe talk to your dentists or any kind of alums that you might know from the local dental school and hygiene school, or whatever program you might be working in, or even just knock on the door, go talk to them and just say, hey, here's kind of what I'm thinking. It's important for the students and so forth. And then the other thing is just get really good at having the discussion around income protection planning, and have it with all the clients. You know, again, because I'm a firm believer, I've been doing this and I don't do life, I don't do investments. I've pretty much just done disability for over 30 years. So, you know, I might be a little biased just because I've also been an advocate on the claim side and I've seen what it can do for people. So I'm very passionate about it. But if you get very good about having that conversation and have it with everybody, you're going to be successful. So.
Absolutely. And that's, I
Yeah.
think, what we always say is, you know, maybe it's the first case that you're not as comfortable or confident with, but right, the second one and the third one and the fourth one, you just
Yeah.
get more comfortable, you become more familiar with what to expect, you can help answer more questions. And the good thing with Illinois Mutual or any other carrier you work with, you have support teams in the home office that we're happy
Yeah.
to help answer questions and walk through any of that.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be the expert to get started, but
Right.
the more you do it, the more you become the expert,
Yeah.
like Dan is.
One other thing I do occasionally too, depending upon the client, and you know, if they're a lot of times people like the sizzle, you know, they like the investment stuff.
Mhm.
So, you know, I will talk to them about how potentially a disability can affect their retirement. Because, you know, if you can't work, you're not able to contribute to your 401k anymore. Your employer's not able to do the match, and you're not going to get all the investment gains that you might have otherwise hoped for. And it's also going to affect your Social Security retirement benefits because they go based on your 30 highest years of earnings. And if you're disabled when you're 40 and you were only working for 10 years, you know, what's your Social Security retirement benefit going to look like when you're 65? Not very good. So, you know, best case scenario is nothing happens and you are able to continue to work. But if not, you know, as long as your income's protected and so forth, you might still be able to at some point still put money away in an IRA and that sort of thing. But so it's just trying to help the client understand how devastating financially a disability can actually be. So, and
Definitely.
that's, yeah. Once you have them in front of you.
Thank you for that. Jim, did you have any questions or anything that you wanted to add?
I do. Excuse me. I do. One of the things that Dale had mentioned early was, you know, having a connection to a particular occupation. And his connection was with his sister-in-law, with an unfortunate situation. But everybody's going to know. Everybody on the call today is going to know somebody that's in one of these occupations. You may have done the job yourself. You may have been a career changer in the middle of, you know, in the middle of your 40s or something. But, you know, going to something, a family member, friends that are in a particular business, whether it's a dental hygienist or whether it's an electrician or HVAC or whatever, any of the people that are in this particular program, find something that you've got a connection to, you understand the business, you understand what those guys do for a living, and try to use that connection. And the other thing that I heard, you know, Dale say is that this thing is going to open up opportunities for a lot of different other things, whether it's referrals within a dental practice or whether it's the opportunity to ultimately sell a business overhead expense policy to, you know, to somebody that starts their own practice or their own business at some point. And that's going to blossom into their other opportunities like life insurance and so forth. So I really think that, you know, a couple of the key words that I heard Dale use the word passionate. I use that on a daily basis with talking about income protection. I think you have to have that passion and you have to have the conviction when you talk about protecting your livelihood and your income, you know, to come across like that and make them understand that. And don't be a product salesman because that doesn't work. You're selling a concept and a visualization of what potentially could happen. You're selling a problem essentially. So that was my 2 thoughts. And Dale, thank you very much. And I'll shoot it back to Andrea quick.
Thanks so much, Jim. So now, anything else that you wanted to add, Dale? Thank you so much for all of your insight so far.
I don't think so. I'm just kind of looking at my notes and I think I kind of covered most of it.
That's what I thought too. So just based on what we talked about before. So I will open it up now for Q&A. There is a questions feature with the GoToWebinar meeting. Feel free to type in your question and I will bring those up and I'll ask for everyone in the group to be able to hear it. And then either Dale or I will answer those. So the first one is, does a hairdresser fall into the esthetician? Hairdresser should be in the, I think barber is listed in the group C. The hairdresser falls in just like a barber. So short answer is they would be eligible, but they would fall as a barber or hairdresser, which is an occupation class 2. Can you use this program only prior to graduation or even when they are out working? Also, can you buy all base or must it be base and integrated? Great question, Robert. So at Illinois Mutual, we do have the option. Our base policy is all base benefits non-integrated, but we have the option to add the integrated benefit rider on top of that to split up the benefits. It's not required, but it is available, and that rider is available with this program as well. Now, as far as using this program only prior to graduation, the specifics of the program, it allows you to offer them coverage prior to them graduating and prior to them having a job and knowing exactly what their income would be. So that's where this opens up the door for you. If they have graduated and if they are working and they have an income, they're eligible for coverage. We would just base it on their occupation, their income, in the specifics of what they have at that point in time. So hopefully that makes sense, that this is a set program prior to them graduating because we don't know yet for sure where they're going to work or what exactly their income is going to be. So you can offer them this set plan design. After they have graduated, then it's based on what their occupation and income would be at that time. Robert also said, Dale, thanks for the information. Thank you. It was great information. So I wanted to make sure to share that with you. And then there was a question about, can you plan for adding a retirement rider to protect their retirement? Unfortunately, with our product, we don't have a specific retirement rider that we can add. So the biggest thing would be, I guess, is if they get their monthly benefit, they can use their monthly benefit for whatever they want to, where if they wanted to make sure that they put a portion of that benefit still into a retirement planning, they could. We don't tell them what they have to use the benefits for. Dale, do you have an outline or example of your group presentation that you would use, like Money 101?
I do not.
Okay.
No. Yeah.
All right. And Greg, we don't have a presentation yet for the trade school that's already prepared that you can use. This program did just launch 2 days ago, so we are still working on assets to develop for this. I will take that back to our marketing team and see if that can be something that we can provide in the coming months that could help support that. We do have a consumer presentation that's more product and a little bit concept specific that you can maybe pull some pieces from. I would encourage you to reach out to your regional manager or your internal sales rep, and they can talk through the options with you and see if we can get you set up with something there. Is there anything that allows for the insured to receive benefits if their spouse becomes disabled, or should each person have their own policy? For Illinois Mutual perspective, each person would need to have their own policy to make sure that they're going to receive disability benefits. There might be other carriers that have, what are they called? It's usually
rider.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
They might have a spouse rider that then they would provide a benefit, but Illinois Mutual does not have that specifically. Okay, so Thomas, this has been about students about to graduate. How do you treat legal immigrants just entering into their work? We can reach out to you about that, Tom, to talk more details, because it does, there's special guidelines for that. So we can reach out to you to talk more details on that one. This would be specific for students who are about to graduate. And Tammy, yes, that is like an optional rider for other carriers that have a spousal rider, that they can add that to the policy to pay benefits if the spouse would become disabled. But Illinois Mutual does not have that. Okay. Any other questions for Dale or about the program, or how he's found success with us over the years? I'll give it a few more minutes here to see if we have any other questions that come up, or I don't see any chat. Okay. Well, one last thing I do want to mention is in the handout section, you'll also see a flyer for our 23 Q3 DI bonus boost. This is something that kicked off July 1st. That is an extra bonus that in the third quarter of 2023 for your DI sales, if you can qualify for an incentive level greater than you qualified for in Q1 or Q2 of 23, you can earn a 20% bonus on your Q3 paid DI premiums. So if you've not yet qualified for a quarterly incentive in quarter 1 or quarter 2, you have to meet level 1 of the quarterly incentive in Q3, which is submitting and paying for 2 disability applications for $2,000 in annualized premium. And you will earn a $300 level 1 cash bonus for the incentive, plus 20% bonus on your Q3 paid premiums, which if it's that example of 2 paid apps for $2,000 in paid premium, would be a $400 cash bonus, plus the $300, so there's $700 cash right there. So now is the time to submit or get paid some disability business in the third quarter, because you can earn a lot of extra cash with these programs. And with this new starting profession program, hopefully it's going to be a great door opener. As Jim and Dale both said, I think, you know, you don't have to go after dentists or dental hygienists specifically. That's obviously where Dale's had success, because he had a personal connection. Find your personal connection. Find the occupation that speaks to you, that you believe in, and that you see has a huge opportunity and need for that. So we also have our DI contact sheet that is added as a handout. You can use that as a reference for who your internal sales rep would be, who your regional sales manager is, and then we have our sales support specialist on that as well. I think one more question popped up. The recording will be available. It usually takes us a couple days to get the recording available. Willie, I would encourage you to reach out to your regional manager or the internal sales rep, and they'd be happy to talk with you specifically about that. And then one question was about the coursework. So typically our graduation's monthly, or do they follow a degree program seasonal? I think that is going to vary for each type of occupation and the type of program. Some will be, you know, some could be a 1-year program, some could be a 2-year program, some are a 4-year program. So you would just want to look into that, Ernest, based on the type of program and the occupation that it is, and see when, you know, how long the program is and when they might be completing that. So hopefully that helps a little bit there. All right, Dale, anything else on your end? I do want to thank you so much for taking the time today.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure.
Right. Well, at this point in time, we'll go ahead and end the call. But thank you all for attending today. Thank you, Dale, for your time and for being a longtime partner with Illinois Mutual.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yep. Take care.